Okay, this is a lesson on radicals and exponents, and this is video 2 of 3. So when you were in Algebra 1, you learned about the properties of exponents. So this video is simply to review those properties. I'd like you to write them down in your notes and you refer to them, but think of these as a toolbox. So as you're solving the problems or simplifying the problems, you're not going to use all of them all the time, or you're not going to just use one of them. You're going to pick and choose which ones apply to your problem. So the first one is the product of powers, and on that one, you're multiplying, and that's this first option here in blue. You're multiplying two things with the same base, so they both have the base of a. So when that happens, we add the exponents, so it's a to the m plus n. So let's look at this example over here on the right. The bases are both 4. I'm multiplying, and my exponent is 2/3 and negative 1/3. So the rule says that I need to add my exponents. So this is 4 to the 2/3 plus negative 1/3, which simplifies to 4 to the 3rd. Now using our rewriting skills that we learned in the last video, we can rewrite this as the cube root of 4. The second property is a quotient. Quotient means division. So if I have a to the m over a to the n, we're going to subtract the two numbers. So here my bases are the same. They're both 3's. So I've got an exponent of a 4 and an exponent of a 2. It's a division problem, so I'm going to subtract my exponent. So this is 3 to the 4 minus 2. So that's 3 squared, which is equals 9. Notice on all of these, I never change the bases. I'm only adjusting the exponents. All right, let's look at the third rule that's in red here in the middle. Power to a power. So if I have a to the m raised to the n, then I multiply the exponents. So if we look at this example, I have 7 to the 3rd raised to the 2/3 power. So I'm going to take 3 times 2/3. But before I multiply, I want to reduce. These 3 cancels, so I'm left with just 7 squared. And 7 squared is 49. The next one in blue right here is the product power. And so if I have AB raised to the m, then I can distribute that exponent. And that's what we did when we did things like 4 square root 3 squared. We distributed that exponent. So here I have 16x to the 1/2. I distribute the 1/2. And we know, now that we can rewrite fractional exponents, that anything to the 1/2 is the square root of something. But when we have the square root, we don't actually technically write this 2 here. It's just understood. And then we have the square root of x. And the square root of 16 is 4, so this is 4 square root x when we simplify it. Last but not least is the negative exponent rule. If we have a negative exponent, we cannot simplify it. So to make that exponent positive, we move it. So if it is positive in the numerator, we move it, if it's negative in the numerator, we move it to the denominator to make it positive. And if the opposite were true, if it were negative in the denominator, we'd move it to the numerator to become positive. So looking at this example, I have 5 to the negative 1/2. Right now, 5 to the negative 1/2 is in the numerator. So to make it positive, I'm going to put it 1 over 5 to the 1/2, and now it's positive. Anytime I have a fractional exponent, I have to rewrite it as a radical, and anything to the 1/2 is a square root. So this is 1 over the square root of 5. So these 5 properties are what we are going to use in the next video to simplify. We won't use all of them all the time, but we will use them. The other thing that we want to keep handy is our chart. We can always put the radicals into our calculator, but if you're comfortable with some of these numbers, and let's say they had the cube root of 125, you would know automatically that it was 5 if you're looking at your chart. So for the third video, I'd have your chart handy, and then also keep in mind that we're going to use all of these exponent rules.